Hey nerds, big and or small. Let's talk about a few things, shall we? One thing that I've noticed out of everyone, and there's been a lot of people, granted there's been a lot of very off-the-wall comments lately that were all about Lloyd and all about his little grand battle here, and how, God, it was the easiest thing ever, and how IS, intelligence systems should, make it harder and make it much more interesting and fun to play. And oh boy, I guess that kind of comes along to the whole lack of content thing that goes on with this game, because I'll be pretty honest, right now there's just nothing to do outside of grand hero battles and, occasionally maybe the arena, which I'm actually going to be doing a lot more of the arena in video form, but still, I'm just going to point this out since a lot of people have been, pointing this out in the comments, and that is that, Hector kind of sets the tone when it comes to this, whole battle here.
Right.
So here's my Hector. He's not that crazy, he's level 40. I rushed him up here just to give you guys an example of how he can change things when it comes to this, because all you really need is a good bulky unit, and maybe someone who can, take care of all the maybe the archer or the flying unit up there. But Hector's a special case because he just can absolutely demolish things. So when someone comes in and goes, "Man, this was so easy, all I did was use Hector," it's just like, say no more. I'm just gonna give you guys an example of what happens when you just send him in. The most problematic portion of this map would probably be the right side with the archers and of course the tome user, and he pretty much eliminates the whole problem here. Just to give you an example, I'm gonna move him in here. I'm just gonna let him sit here, and then we're gonna end the turn and you're gonna see what happens. Because if you don't have Hector for some reason, here's why he a lot of people use him. And yeah, done. And then the tome user's gonna come in, but since I have Vantage, yeah, that pretty much erases that as well. So now, of course, we have several units coming in, but that gives you the idea. And not only that, we have, of course, the blue tome, not the blue tome, the blue spear user over there, who's going to eventually show up down here and also attack us. Now, I mean, I saw a lot of people going, "Man, this was so easy," and it's just like, yeah, guys, I get it. I know, it was easy for you. I don't mean that in the wrong, a mean way. I'm just saying, yeah, I know. It can be ridiculously easy at times, especially for that.
Tell me.
Go back in, and there we go. And, I mean, I'll be pretty honest. When I first got this, I was thrown for a loop because I didn't actually have my Hector leveled up, and I had to use a different, less tactful method of dealing with this entirely, and thankfully we got through it. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting little feat. But a lot of you were like, "Man, Hector did it. Hector was the reason we won." It's like, yeah, that's that's honestly the truth here. Hector definitely makes this interesting, but I see a lot of people, or at least I saw a lot of people. I actually had to remove several comments that were just being absolutely rude about it, and how they were insulting, intelligence systems, and like, man, they can't make any content that's worth, playing. And I'll just be pretty honest. The person who, said that was like, "Oh, I used Hector," and it's just, yeah, well, if you use Hector, chances are you did exactly what I did or something similar there to clear the stage. Because right now, Hector is the main reason that a lot of people are winning, because he has the bulk, he has the ability to distant counter, and if you have him, of course, with Vantage, even more, availability, even more options out there that will allow him to actually go in. Here's, again, my Hector. He's actually pretty vanilla outside of Vantage, which I just attached to him as quickly as possible. Didn't even level up his buckler skill or anything. Granted, or give him a command skill. I just kind of went straight for the whole Vantage thing, and you can kind of get the idea of what's going on there. Granted, a lot of you in the comments have also gone through and said how you won, and a lot of you were very creative, I have to say. using things like Iote's shield and stuff like that. It's fantastic, and I love reading all of that, but the question then becomes, well, is it too easy? And I just have to say, no, not really. I see a lot of people who are like, man, I completed this with Hector, and it was so easy. And yeah, it is. You're using a very, I wouldn't say overpowered, but he is near the upper echelons of probably some of the better characters right now out there. And he can be insanely powerful if you give him the chance. And again, he's the most of the main reason why the right side of the map becomes less of a problem entirely, because when you can just outright obliterate 3 of the units that would be the problem, mainly the archer and the blue spear user who buff, cavalry, they once they're out of the equation, they are basically, no more problems. So I can see why people might be like, yeah, that was easy. It's kind of like how I previously talked about this when it came to Xander and things like that. If you had Ryoma or Ike and you went up the right side path of, the Xander fight, chances are you were going to win because Ike or Ryoma, if they had Vantage, they could easily just deal with the green mage that was up there on his fight. It really required a peculiar setup, or if you had a really powerful, red tome user, you could also do that. And it just comes down to what you feel comfortable with. So when people go, man, this is too easy, IS should really work on it, understand that there are a lot of free-to-play players out there who maybe didn't get Hector, or maybe are a little bit harder on some of the other abilities, or, have more creativity. Like for me, I didn't have Hector leveled up. So this led to a lot of problems for me. It ended up me having to put Fury on my Lind here, which was not the best idea for me, but that was the only reason she survived the actual encounter, was Fury and rally defense and getting that whole point there. And that's such a strange thing. Right now, I know people are kind of frustrated that there is a lack of content, and I can kind of agree with that. A Grand Hero battle maybe every month for a battle that doesn't really last too much, especially if you have all these, units that you are using. It can be kind of frustrating for a lot of people. A lot of people want better content. So when it comes down to, newer things to do, Grand Hero battles are always a fun thing to look at. I'm just going to hop back in and show that as an example again, because my goodness, Hector really does change the battle, and he is definitely one of the reasons you will win if you do use him. I'm just, simply put, he is such a powerhouse in his own right. He is able to kill. He can potentially kill Lloyd if you have a good IV spread with him, or someone who can buff him a bit further than my units right now. But I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. Just, pop this in, and away we go. And, units all pop in, just instantly try to attack him, and he can decimate. He can absolutely destroy. That doesn't mean that you're going to need Hector, by no means. It just means that if you have Hector, free to play or not, you're probably going to find yourself at a much bigger advantage than a lot of other, users who might not.
All right.
Just as an example. Because he can do so much damage. He can constantly, move, he can distant counter with him is one of the reasons why people love him so much. And, granted, Buckler did help there, of all the abilities. And so when people come in, and tell me, oh man, this was so easy, take a second and think, if you used Hector, or even more, some of the other characters that you can get, you built yourself, realize that, yeah, it probably was easy, but for some other user out there who might be new to the game, or playing it, or an idiot like me, it's not something so simple. At least I don't think it is. And while Lloyd is probably a different character entirely.
Okay.
His battle is based on having a very solid unit that can tank things, and hopefully it does help if that tank can, of course, rebound a bit there, you know, and actually fight back. But I don't think it's too easy. I think it's just that now we're at a point where a lot of people have things like Ryoma, Hector apparently, Ike, things like that, or, you know, characters who can counter from a distance, things like Vantage. All of these abilities will allow your characters and your team to fight much better, as long as you're not completely stupid like me. And, you know, I don't think they need to change the difficulty. I think, if anything, maybe they need to add something more that, you know, might be more fun for those who have higher level characters, but right now there's a lack of content when it comes to something other than the arena, and that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, that's just the end game that I like to think of, so that's pretty much all I got to talk about. That's all I got to say. I don't think there is too much worry. I do think that there is a lack of content, and I think the Grand Hero battles are fine as they are. You know, before I made a video that was like, man, are they too easy? And people got a little upset with me and were like, you're just saying that they're too easy. They're not too easy. And I'm like, no, I was replying to those people who were like, man, this is too easy, we should change it. And I'm just gonna stick to that. Like, now we have characters, much more plentiful amounts of them, like Hector and Ryoma, Ike, Lind, you know, these top class characters. So, you know, of course these battles are going to be a lot easier. And hopefully we'll get more, you know, for those who really want a challenge, we'll get harder content. I'm still looking forward to that War Vortex thing, and hopefully we'll have some new stuff to look at as the time goes on. But for right now, unfortunately, all we have here are Grand Hero battles. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna peace out for now. I am really tired. I am going to go crazy, so I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching.